Good morning, everyone. This is Vinod from Tally ERP and Snippet. This is our video number 9 in accounting watches. Today, we are about to see how to work with accounting watches. That is very basic accounting watches, like how to make an entry in Contra, payment, receipt, and journal. I'm planning to build this particular voucher type for a month, probably 2, because I don't want to give the entire year, but when I show a reporting component, I'll go for the entire year data, and then we can see a report for a full year. So when I see a full year report, I can see a lot of things in it. And in this particular video, I'm going to show you how to maintain checkbooks in Tally. I don't know how many of them know that you can maintain checkbook registers better in Tally. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that. In this logic, I will teach you how to cancel and delete an entry. Again, once you use the cancellation of button, then probably we may not able to use the checkbook number again. So be careful when you are using the real-time checkbooks and so on. Let me create a company right now. So the company that I'm going to create right now is this. It's Universal Business Solution, and I'm going to create this company as an accounts only company for the financial year, and I'm going to create a bank ledger immediately before I go to a transaction. And then I'm going to set 3 checkbooks in this banking details, and then from the other creation point, I'm not going to use bank. I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut called Alt C to create everything. And this is a company which is started brand newly. So there is no real or the balance sheet that we have to start this company. It's a new company, so everything is going to be brand new to us. So let's see how to do that. So I'm going to go and create a company right now. So when I go and create the company, I'm going to give the company name as Universal Business Solution. So I'm going to just say Universal Business Solution. And then I'm going to just, if you want to feed the evaluation, you can see that this is the building name and the company door number. Street. And then which state it belongs to. And then you can feed the numbers here. And then my mail ID. And the email and the financial years here. So now my company creation is done. So before I start going to the accounting voucher and directly started creating the ledgers and entries, for the purpose of checkbook register, I'm going to just go back to my accounting information, and I'm going to use the ledger and create a new ledger called HDFC bank account. So now you can see that the financial year point is given, and if you want to maintain the accounting details, you can do that. So I'm going to just come down for the screenshot, and I'm going to give the steer. Then I'm going to just choose this. Remember, when you want to work with the bank reconciliation, it's better that your system is connected to the internet. If not, your system will take a hell of a lot of time. And if you're working in an organization where the internet connection is not proper, or if you don't have an internet connection in your system, then you may not able to use them that freely. So if you are working with a multi-user environment where the internet connection is not there, then the systems will not show you the list of banks and all. So it will take a lot of time for you to get this logic workaround. So we're doing it, and I'm going to set the checkbook here. So the checkbook number that I'm going to add is this. I'm just naming it. If you are specific about some of the numbers, you can always do that. So now when I enter a checkbook by a 5-digit number, then it won't allow me to do it. Probably you would have seen that it's so small, too small valuation that came into play. So I'll just show you that one more time, and you can see that check number must contain only numerical characters and must be at least 6-digit long. So that's why I just want to just come back to that point and show you that. And if you want to enable auto reconciliation, but again, auto reconciliation comes as a statement point where you have to download the statement in one particular dimension. And then you can do an auto reconciliation. So I will do an auto reconciliation when we are going to have our bank reconciliation component comes into play. So the next transaction will be our bank reconciliation. At the time, I'll show you how to do an auto bank reconciliation for us. So give a no and then save it. So now I got my checkbook, so that when I make an entry right now, the check using a checkbook, so automatically my data will come into play. So before we start making the entry, this is the transactions that we are going to see. So I'm going to have a 30-day transactions here. Not all days are transacted here, but I have 1 month books of accounts with me from 1st of April to 30th of April. So I'm going to do all these transactions. If you are aware of accounting and if you know the journal entries before, then this is the place to start. If you don't know the journal entries, you should learn the journal entry, how to make it. And once you are ready with that, then probably you can definitely do these transactions. Without knowing a journal entry, making these transactions is not possible for you. So even if you are an accountant, or if you are a regular accountant, probably you can do that. If you're brand new to accounting and if you're brand new to Tally, and probably you learn journal entries first and then come back to this point. So in this particular class, I'm not teaching the journal entries for us. So we are about to see how to work with the entry in Tally, but later on I'll be teaching you how to work with journal entries too. That will be a separate YouTube channel. I will add that in the subsequent point. In this point, I'll add one class for you, how to create a journal entry. So I'm going to literally write them in a pad or in a word pad or a word. Then I'll show you how to do this. You can watch that in my next video. Here, if you are an accountant or if you are basically from accounting background, probably you can directly jump into this and learn it. So I'm going to teach you how to do this entry, not uh, not to teach you the journal component here. So when I come down to this portion, so I can choose the following list. The keyboard shortcuts for each and every vouchers are given here. So when you come up to the top, you can see the keyboard shortcuts that I'm about to deal in this video. I'm going to deal with the first 4 transactions here: contra, payment, receipt, and journal. F4, F5, F6, and F7. These are the 4 voucher types that we are about to do. The rest of the voucher types, as we go forward, I will teach you how to do that. So our transactions are this. So my first transaction comes in here like this. So I will just tell you, I'll read the content once and then I'll tell you why I'm doing this. I will explain you this also. So if you are new to the accounting part, probably I'm not giving you the complete logic of accounting, but I'm giving you what entry will come here and where I will punch this entry. So when I work with the accounting vouchers, so the 4 topic that I'm going to see in here is payment, receipt, contra, and journal. So how do you differentiate all these entries? So to differentiate this entries or these entries, we need to understand that contra is a transaction which belongs to us. I call it as an internal transaction. When a cash movement happens within the company, then I will call them as contra. For example, uh, in general terminologies, deposit of cash, withdrawal of cash, transfer of funds within the company's bank accounts, then those transactions will be in our contra. When I go to the payment, any transactions where the money moves out of me in the form of cash or check, fund transfers, or debit or credit card swipe belong to the company, then that transaction of cash or via the bank or other resources, those are called as payment. The payment can be done either for a loan repayment or for a sundry creditor payout or for the expenditures, or I am offering a loan to one of my friend and so on. Any time or any situations where money goes out of us to a third party will all be recorded as payment. If that happens all the way other way around, that is, I receive the money, either I borrow a loan or I receive the money for the sales that I did to my sundry debtor or the customer, or I am having an income which is not a regular one, maybe an indirect income that I receive from XYZ for some purpose or not, or I can even specify it like bank interest credited to my account if I'm having an SB account. Any receipts of money in any form like cash or checks, demand drafts or pay orders or debit and credit card swipes or fund transfer received will all be termed as receipts. And finally, I'm going to use a journal entry. Again, when I say journal, any transaction that I punch in a normal books of accounts is called as journal. That's the first primary books of accounts. But in Tally, journal is used for 2 purposes: to make adjustment entries and to make entries which is of own use. Generally, these are the 2 topics that we will maintain in journal entry. 90% of the journal entries will be in non-cash transactions. 10% of the transactions will have an effect on your cash or bank. So let's see how to do this. So I'll explain you the entry first, and then I'll show you how I'm going to do that in Tally. It's going to be a little slower here because I'm going to take a little more time than normal because I'm teaching you for the very first time. So it takes a little more time than what it actually has to take. When I work with an accounting voucher, so I need to remember I have to follow 6 steps here. My first step is I need to change the date of the transaction. That is the first and the foremost part. Number 2 is choose the voucher type, what kind of an entry that you're going to punch in. And number 3 is if you don't have the ledger, create them. Please do not create the same ledger twice. If you already have the ledger, do select that ledger and then use them. Don't create the same ledger more than once. Generally, if you are creating the exact same name twice, Tally won't allow you to do that. But unfortunately, if you give a misspelt or if you spelt it in a different way for the first ledger and the second ledger, then Tally doesn't know that you have creating the same ledger. So Tally allows you to create them directly. So be careful when you do the list. So this is a very normal scenario where a company is started by a person and he brings in cash to start the business, and he's the only person. So in accounting terminology or in the nature of business component, it is a proprietorship company. He's the only owner. The first entry is on 1st of April 2020. Mr. Kumar started a business called Universal Business Solution by bringing a cash of rupees 3 lakhs. So he is bringing in the money. Remember, you are writing books of accounts not for Kumar. You are writing books of accounts for Universal Business Solution. Generally, when people think about this from the point of view of Kumar, Kumar pays the money here. So automatically the money, the entry will come to your brain as payment voucher. But this is a books of accounts returned, or we are writing books of accounts for Universal Business Solution. So we are writing books of accounts for the company point of view, not from an individual point of view. When it comes to the company point of view, the company receives the money from Kumar. As I told you earlier, it is a proprietorship company. So when I start a business, the business and the proprietaries are two different entity. They are not one and the same. So the business treat Kumar as liability. So I'll create Kumar account under capital, and then I have cash with me in Tally because the cash is the default ledger that we have in Tally. So the first transaction that I'm going to do right now is a receipt entry. So I'll go back to my accounting voucher and I'm going to press F6 to bring the receipt entry. When you're working in Tally, normally a journal entry always starts with a debit first and credit second. But in Tally, in some situations, in some voucher type, it will be other way around. If you see in this point, my first line that comes in here is a credit. It's not a debit. So my entry will be other way around from a normal journal entry. The normal journal entry for the first entry was or will be cash account debit to Kumar's capital account, 3 lakhs on both the sides. So my debit will be cash, my credit will be Kumar's capital. When I go to credit, on the right hand side of your screen, you can see that I have the list of ledgers. In here, I don't see a Kumar capital account at all. So I'm going to create it. So to create a new ledger from this screen, I will use a keyboard shortcut called Alt C. Alt C allows you to create a new ledger. We don't want to go to the accounts information and create a ledger here. So I'm going to create a ledger called Kumar's capital. Then I'm going to coin them under the proper group. I'm going to see whether we have a capital account. Yes, I have a capital group available here. And then I'm going to just give a control end and then save it. Now it automatically jumps to the amount column and you can see that it is going to credit. So I'm going to punch the 3 lakh rupees here. When I give an enter, it shows the next line, the debit, and the debit will be cash. I have cash here when I give an enter, and you can create a narration here. So I'm going to just say, Kumar started a business with share capital. So I add a narration here. So my first step will be my entry date. Second step will be the rest voucher type. Third, if the ledger is not there, create that, feed the value. Fourth, if the ledger is not there, again create that, feed the value. Fifth, come down to your narration, add the narration if you wanted to. Generally we add narration in real-time accounting so that you remember why we did this particular transaction, and give an enter. It's going to question you whether you want to save it or not. Give one more enter. It's going to save your data. So my next transaction is going to be, once I started a business, I need to have some basic community to run my business. So the first point that I'm buying as a basic community right now is computer, because computer plays a major role for us. So Kumar pays 22,500 rupees to buy a computer here. So this is for the company usage. So we will not call this as a purchase entry. You can call this as a payment entry. If you want to make this as a purchase entry, nothing wrong in it, but still I will make this as a direct payment entry. If you are maintaining accounting properly, then we will write a journal entry, because we should be having a supplier who supply this product to us, and then we'll make the payment to the supplier. Normal entry will be, you will pass a journal entry and then we will make a payment entry. That is the entry procedure that you follow in a normal accounting books of accounts, so that you know that where it is generated and how it worked. So we can keep a track of that list also. So for example, I didn't give that information here for us. I'm saying that just I bought it from a person. Let me just make it in a proper accounting manner. So I'm going to make a journal entry. I imaginarily create a guy called Computer World where I'm buying this product. So first I'll make a journal entry here. So this is my own purpose. I'm buying a product and it is a non-cash entry. So I'll go to the journal. For the journal, I press F7. And the date of entry is second. So to change the date of the entry, I'm going to press F2. So it automatically pops up the voucher date for me. If the next day entry that you're going to pass, then Tally allows you to get the next day automatically. If you're passing a day after or other things, then you will be feeding the voucher date by yourself. So now I'm going to create a ledger called computer. I don't have them. And I'm going to call this fix this. So this is the purchase that I'm making it for my own office purposes. And then I'm going to say it's bought at this value, and Mr. Computer World is the company which sells this product with a bill number 10,002. So I'm going to call him as a supplier, sundry creditor. And then I'm going to just give an enter. Then it gives you a box. Select the bill number as new reference and give the bill number and save it. I'm sorry, I think that I made a wrong value here. So now we can see that I bought a computer from Computer World for 20,500 on second. Now, after I bought it, I have to pay him the money so that I can get that product to me. So to make a payment, I'm going to give a press F5, and it's on the same date I'm making the payment. So I'm going to say Computer World. When I give an enter, it automatically pops up a box here. This is the payment that I'm giving against the bill number 10,001. So I say against reference. I say 10,002. Forgive me about the bill number, and I'm paying in the form of cash. And enter. I say of computer purchase for office. And saved. So my second transaction is also done. Now I'm going to do the third transaction. I cannot pay everything in cash. Even the first point is a little reluctant to do it because nowadays, if you bring everything in the form of cash, then it is not allowed. So there'll be a lot of questions asked when you go for an audit. So it's better to bring most of the transactions in a banking transaction. So it will be clean and clear. Nobody can question you. You can say the source of the transactions. For this, probably you would have had a savings earlier somewhere in your account, or you would have borrowed a loan to start a business, so on. So if you can get the source in a particular point, then the rest will be in better. So I'm going to do the third entry. And when I open a bank account, when I explain my contra entry, I said deposit, withdrawal, and fund transfer. And I said that even a deposit within the bank account. And if there is no bank account at all, I'm opening a brand new bank account. Even that will be termed as a deposit. So I'm going to choose the contra. And when I make the entry of contra, again, the transaction that I have to do is ulta because credit comes first and debits come second. So I'm going to give a cash, and I'm depositing around 1 lakh rupees cash, and I'm denominating with the, so when I go to the bank, because bank I have created already, so I'm just choosing whatever the ledger that I have here. Then it pops up a window here. I'm doing a cash transaction. Say it asks you, how did you do this? So I'm going to say I deposited 52,000 rupees note for 1 lakh rupees, and I'm going to save it. I'm not going to give a narration here. I'm going to save this point. Now I have a bank account for my company. I bought a computer for my company. Now I need a space to run my show. So I'm renting an office space. And for renting an office space, I'm giving a security deposit for the same office. So this happens on the 4th of April. This is the money that I give to a third person. So again, I can create a journal entry and then I can do the rest. That is the more appropriate way of doing accounting. So I'll go for the journal entry, and I'm going to give security deposit. My security deposit is a deposit amount that will be refunded to me back again, but without any additional amount given to me. When I vacate my place, if I've paid all my rents properly, then the full value will be returned. If I said that I'm giving a 1 month notice before and I didn't pay the previous month's rent, then that value will be deducted from my security deposit. Only the balance will be paid. So now I'm just saving this, and I'm paying here 25,000 rupees. and I'm paying it to one of my landlord. So I'm going to call this as a landlord account itself. And I call it as Sunday credit because I'm paying him every month. So if you want to specify it, you can say that this is security deposit. If you want to maintain something like this, you can do that so that you can keep a track of it. And I'm paying 25,000 bucks here. I'm giving him money. Now I have a bank account. So whatever transaction that I'm about to do right now, I'm going to pay them via a check. So I'm going to give the money to the landlord. Then for what you're giving, security deposit. Then I'm going to use the HDFC bank account. When I give an enter, the system will automatically give you the first check number because I've stored the check number here. You can see it checks the check number automatically and my check dates are all perfect. You can see the check number is here. 112001. It gives you the same check number automatically and save it. So now I'm going to go for the next point. Then I am appointing two people to my office. I need one manager and one assistant manager. One manager for my operation, one assistant manager for my marketing. So my manager will take care of the marketing activity. Also, she heads the operation, but marketing, I need a person to do it. So I have a person here. I hired both of them. Then I am also arranging for a travel agent who can take care of my travel bills and other components very easily. Then that will be a best part to go forward. These two transactions are not accounting transaction. They are information for us. So we won't do any transaction for 5/4/2020 and 10/4/2020. Later on, now I need furthermore logic. I cannot keep a computer on the floor, so I need to have a furniture to take care of it. So I'm going to buy some furnitures, a cell phone for our office use, and I'm going to get an air conditioner and some wirings to be done for the respective air conditioners and lightings, because the lighting that is given to me is less. So I want to make my lighting or make my office a little brighter. So I'm going to buy all of these components in one single entry. So the date of the entry is 15/4, and I'm not going to do a journal entry here. If you want to do a journal entry, you can do it again, but I'm trying to do it directly right now. So I'm going to do them with a list here. So where I'm going to just make the entry directly. So how do I do that? So I'm going to create the ledgers right now, one by one. First one is cell phone, and it is a fixed asset for my company. And I'm going to give the value as 6,000 rupees. When I give an enter, it's going to ask you a debit or credit. I'm going to have 4 different points. So I'm going to make one more debit, and I'm creating this as a compound entry. So I'm creating a furniture entry here, and then the valuation comes down to 20,000 and debit. Then the next part is I'm buying air conditioner to my company. And then I'm giving the value for that. And finally, I'm buying the wires here. And I'm paying this via a check. So when I give an enter, automatically you can see the next check number pops up here perfectly. My check number is 112002. You can see that that comes automatically. I don't want to punch manually. And I'm saving this. So now my office is getting into a shape. So now I want to buy the next logic, a very important part in today's world, as we are all sitting at home and we are doing work from home, and most of them are doing everything from home. Even our office work is done. There is no more office separately for us. So we need to communicate. So we need a telephone point, and we need to have telephone connections. It's for either for my landlines, or I want to go for internet connection alone. So you name it, what you want to do, you can do that. So on 16/4, I'm just getting a landline from a service provider. So I'm paying him. So I'm going to just say Planet Telecommunication. I'm going to call him as creator. And actually, I have to make a journal entry here because I am getting it. So I'm going to pay him a telephone deposit. So I'm paying a telephone deposit. And then I'm going to just say this as a deposit again, because when I surrender the point, the money will come back to me. And I am going to just pay 3,000 rupees to Planet Communication. And So for new connections, so I don't know the bill number and all, so I'm just giving the new connection here and save it. And I'm going to make a payment. Now I'm going to issue this money by cash. So I'm going to just say Planet Telecommunication against reference and 3,000 rupees for the new connection. And I'll see I'm paying in the form of cash. So now I want to buy furthermore point. So I'm buying some stationeries to my office and I'm not paying him on time. So I'm going to pay it when I do it. So I'm going to buying the stationery. It is an expenses for me. So I'm buying 12,500 rupees worth of stationery from Global House supplier. And he's giving this particular product to me in credit. So I'm going to pay him after 15 days. And the bill number is also given to me. So earlier we never had the bill numbers earlier. So I gave a manual bill number earlier. Now I know what bill number that I am dealing with. So I'm just doing it. I'm going to say pay him after 15 days and this is the value. I'm not paying him today, so I'm not going to make an entry for a payment for this part. But when I paid my deposits on the security part and then deposit for the telephones, I paid them immediately because that has happened on that particular day itself. So I'm going to give an enter and save it. And I'm going to have a few more entries. So on 21st/4, I got my first customer. So I'm going to do a service for him. For that, he is giving me an advance. My invoice valued to him is 75,000. He's giving 1/3 of the value as an advance value to me. So I'll come down here. I'm going to create the party name here, Silver Services. And he's my debtor. And he's paying me 25,000 rupees as advance. So I'm going to say advance for a PO. I don't know the numbers and all. So I'm feeding that value here and he's giving me a check. So when he gives me a check, again, the instrument number is fed by me because he will give his own check number. So my check number is this. That's what I've received from him. And then I'm saving it. And finally, I'm just going for the 23rd entry. I have a few more cash with me. So I don't want to maintain the cash anymore in my cash book. So let me just deposit them in my account. So I'm going to just transfer that money to my bank account. And again, I'm depositing it. So I'll say 50 here and 50 here. So I'm paying this point and save it. Again, I need some more stationery. So I'm buying it from another guy. So one more journal entry. I'm not paying him now. I'll be paying him later. So again, the stationery ledger is there. So I don't create those ledger again. Only the party name will be created here. And then he also gives me a bill. So new reference. Then I'm going to say 1280 and I'll pay him in 7 days time. I'm not making any payments. So probably next month I will give him the payout that he's deserved. And Kumar is drawing some money for his own use. So I'm going to call it as Kumar's drawings. Normally we'll keep them as indirect expenses. I'm going to make this as capital because at the end of the day, we'll adjust this in his capital only because he's a sole proprietor of this company. Then I feed that valuation here and this money is withdrawn from bank. So automatically the next checkbook or check number will come into play. And at the month end, I'm paying my maid who takes care of my office. So I'm paying her monthly wages. So I just called it as office maintenance. And it's an indirect expenditure for the company. And I pay 7,500. That includes the maiden wage and the products that is required to keep the office spick and spine for a month. So I bought all of them. So all of them put together, 7,500 was what I spent. I gave a cash to that person. So now I made all this list. And if you are not sure about what group I need to coin each and every ledger. So here is the logic. So these are the ledgers that I've created under these groups. The reason why I've created these ledgers under these groups are given in the remark part. So in some case, I would have made a journal entry in one point. I didn't do when I buy the furniture, fixes it like cell phone furniture and air conditioner, I didn't do a journal entry. I directly made a payment and then I bought the goods. But generally, if you are keeping a track of the transactions, you can do that. Now I'm going to see a report here. Let's see how to see a report. So there are 3 reports that I can see in this list. My first report will be a day book. So I want to see what happens every day. So display day book. I'll give 2 Ds in here. And then once I receive that list, you can see the last day transaction. I want to see a period of transaction. So I'm going to give Alt F2, and then I'm going to say 1/4/34. So all my transactions belong to those dates will all be displayed here very clearly. So the report will be a little different from the report that I show in my book, because here I made additional transactions of journals to book my transactions. And you can see even a balance sheet, but again, balance sheet will show only the assets and liabilities. It won't show you the list of data. And I can see a trial balance too. I'll go to display, trial balance, and to expand the trial balance, I'm going to give Alt F1 to show the trial balances here. You can see multiple ledgers also if you wanted to. So you can go to your accounts book and cash book. You can see the cash and bank balances here. If you're going to go to the ledger, and you can see each and every ledger one by one. So what you have done with every ledger in that particular month. So this is how we'll feed our accounting transactions. Hope you learned how to make a contra, payment, receipt, and journal. In my next class, I will try to give a journal entries class first. Then we will go for this, but it'll be too theoretical. That's why I'm a little hesitant to do it. But again, I felt if we do that, that'll be great. Even this video is a little bigger video. Probably I may not be able to add them as a larger video, because if I add that, the video will become more than 1 hour time. Now itself, our video will be around 40 to 45 minutes video. So I hope you enjoy this. So I'll continue a few more months as our continuous video here, and then I'll show you how to do a bank reconciliation manually and also by system. Hope you enjoyed this video. You have learned how to feed the transactions, and I also showed you how to add a checkbook list. If you want to see how many checks that you have used, you can also see that. So to do that, I'm going to go back to my banking, and I'll go to check register, and you can see that only the first books of accounts or first set of checks is what. Totally, I have 100 checks with me. I've used only 3 of them, and I've used it from the first range. When I give an enter, you can see that that gives you a breakup for which other transaction, and you can see that the status of the checks is still unreconciled because I didn't do the reconciliation of a transaction yet. So I used 2 payment entries, one for the landlord, one for the cell phone, another component, and I've drawn 7,500 for my own use, or Kumar drawn some funds for his own use. So this is how we see the checkbook point, and we can see that the checkbook register is unreconciled, reconciled, blank checks, cancelled checks, out of the period, total checks, how much is there, how much we used it, what is available, and what is yet to be used. You can see all of them in a very clear point. When I go down to the next point, you can see all the checks are available, and all the checks are available even here too. So this is what we learned. Hope you have enjoyed this video, or if you're new to this point, probably would have learned something new too. And I'm very happy that I've started working with the list here. Thanks for watching. Do subscribe to the channel and share it to as many people as possible. And this is Vinod signing out from Tally ERP9 Snippet, your Tally one-stop shop learning list. This is video number 9, and this is Vinod signing out. Thank you so much.